Hello, Brad.
Good day, sir.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Exciting day at work?
It's exciting.
Well, Brad, thank you for taking the time and being on the show as my first guest.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Sorry, I'm a little tardy.
That's all right. That's all right. Let me tell everyone that Brad is my mentor, and that's why I was very insistent on doing the first episode with Brad. And he is the one who hired me during the COVID times at the Bruce for an internship. And there's the journey so far.
You make me blush. Don't even say it, I'm blushing.
Now, Brad, would you take the lead on introducing yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. So my name is Brad. I've been in hospitality since I was 16 in various aspects of the trade. Starting in food and beverage, working in restaurants, starting off as a dishwasher in a pub and just working my way up to cook. And then went on to culinary management, took that at George Brown, all the while working at a tour operator. So I actually did a lot of the op. Actually, I did everything for that company. I did sales, tour guiding, campus relations. I ended with operations, contract negotiations, and just planning and doing all the logistics for all of the events and the travel and the airlines and the buses and so forth and so forth. And I did that for a very long time, actually, about
Mhm.
15 years, I think. Um,
Is that the one with the spring break?
Yep. Yeah, that's the one with the spring break. Yeah, I started in that when I was 16, actually, right around the same time I got my first job in the kitchen. So I kind of did them both parallel for a very long time.
Amazing. And you owned a restaurant as well.
I did, yes. Yeah. So I opened one up on the East Coast of Canada for 3 years, and then moved back to Ontario, where I started in hotels at the Bruce. I always wanted to get into
Mhm.
hotels. When I worked for the tour operator because I worked on the buyer side, so I always got to dealt with either the GMs or the director or the sales directors.
Mhm.
And whenever I was on site, I was working with them closely and just the stories, the general chatter, and I guess just the ambiance of just the buildings themselves really kind of attracted and drew me to that profession. So that's kind of how I got into it now.
Mhm. I often fondly refer to Brad as Gustav to my Zero, which is a nod to the fantastic film The Grand Budapest Hotel, which is absolute watch, by the way. And the reason behind this is I remember a few weeks into my internship, I got to witness an incredible act that Brad had pulled off. An act that has remained the best memory etched in my mind and has made me his biggest fan ever since. I've written and talked about this inspiring moment countless times, and now I'm thrilled to have Brad himself here to share the story with all of you. Brad, would you share the insights of that unforgettable and inspirational moment you created with our audience?
Was that the graduation?
That's the graduation ceremony, yeah.
You were only there for a couple weeks. Wow, talk about first impressions. Awesome. uh, yeah, so we had two guests that stayed with us quite frequently up until this point. Uh,
Mhm.
we'd all gotten to know them really well, and it was during COVID. One of them went through kind of a difficult time in professional life.
Mhm.
I guess to give some backstory, because I have to pay her some credit with what she went through. She
Mhm.
started working as a nurse in I think the 70s, and
Mhm.
according to her at the time, you didn't need a nursing degree or diploma or even know how to open a band-aid.
Mhm.
You just kind of showed up and said, "Hi, I like to work," and they taught you everything. Taught you how to the suture. They taught you how to give someone an injection, how to draw blood. It was,
Wow.
it was kind of a trade back then, if you would.
Mhm.
Um, and then over time, some people decided, hey, maybe we should regulate this stuff, and they put that into colleges, and you had to get certification,
Mhm.
things. And of course she followed along as much as she could, got all her certifications, but ultimately she never really had to get a degree or a diploma in it, because she just, she was kind of grandfathered in
Mm-hmm.
terms of her experience, and they just kept her on. The unfortunate part of that is you get to a point with bureaucratic red tape where she got roadblocked for promotions. She,
Okay.
yeah, she couldn't change department. She couldn't go into an admin position
Oh, wow.
because she didn't have a nursing degree. So she was stuck in her department. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so, she made the decision, well, if I, what am I going to do? If I leave nursing,
Mm-hmm.
can't expand, where do I go from here? I've already reached this age. I'm supposed to retire in a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
She made the decision to go back to school, which she did, and she was still working full time. So she did ed, she did it from afar. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember what that's called. Um, Online, let's call it online learning. I know there's another word for it, but she did online learning while working full time, and then so it came to her graduation ceremony, and of course it was COVID. Uh,
Right.
we had an online graduation ceremony, never one in person. So that's the backstory of how we got to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Her partner told us about this, and just said, that's why they were coming with us. She didn't have a graduation. She was very bummed out. She never actually had one her whole life.
Right.
She didn't realize that she would want one until the opportunity came up, and then it was kind of like, boom. And then I think a couple of weeks later, she lost vision in her left eye due to something very unrelated. So she had to go through operations and surgery to bring that back. So she was really having a rough time.
Mm-hmm.
So her partner is bringing her to us to just provide her an escape and as a congratulations. And she was pulling out kind of all the stops
Mm-hmm.
for her to enjoy herself. So I wasn't the one who spoke to them. It was one of our front desk agents, and the agent at the time just wrote all this down on a note, as everyone should. Lesson learned to all you hospitality people out there: write notes, leave notes. So all this was just put in a note with
Mm-hmm.
no idea what to do with it, but there it goes, and it just sat in the file until we got to reviewing the guests who were coming in. We were looking through all the notes, and we see this note. And collectively, we all just sort of thought, well, why don't we just throw them a graduation ceremony? We'll have some fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it went from there. That same desk agent picked up the phone, called her partner, started getting a little bit more personal information.
Mm-hmm.
Things you would want in a speech from somebody who knows you, right? That's what you're trying to get.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the speech was almost indirectly from her partner, but we
Mm-hmm.
delivered it. I wrote it, but we delivered it based on her words and information. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so this was a bit this was planned as a surprise. So she was told, we're going down for dinner. You need to be on time, look nice. And her partner was actually very militant about her getting out of the room, which she never is. So I think it was really throwing her off too. I think we called in as many people as we could, just
Yes.
to create a crowd in the lobby, just to make it look like an actual ceremony.
I was
And
in charge of the music, I remember.
oh yeah, yeah, you were. Yeah, you played that graduation song.
Graduation song, yes.
Not the one by Vitamin C, but the the actual graduation song that everybody plays when they get their diplomas. And yeah, and I found some costumes that we had in the basement that we got from the festival theater. Then I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like what a dean would wear. Had big ridiculous cloaks. So that's where I got that. And then we made a podium, and we got her school logo and put it on it, and just kind of dressed the whole lobby up to make it look like a ceremony. So when they turned the corner, that's when you played the music as soon as they turned the corner, and I just started into the speech. So there was no like surprise or welcome. It was just
Mhm.
she just turned the corner for her graduation. So it was really cool, and we even made a little graduation hat out of cardstock. It was
Yes, yeah.
cardstock and tape and staples and anything else we could find to hold it together. And
And I think you made like a degree or something as well with the hotel logo and everything. And that was
yeah, yeah,
cylindrical shape
yeah,
kind of chair.
we all signed it like we were the deans. Yeah, and yeah, that was that. So there were a lot of happy, heartfelt tears, including myself during that ceremony. I was even though I wrote the speech, I was pretty choked up reading it because there was a lot of personal things from her partner in there
Mhm.
that were really great, really nice to deliver.
No, 100%. I think as a witness, I did shed a few tears as well, and every single person was a little dewy-eyed that evening. It was just phenomenal, and I wanted, like, after that I was in the zone that you tell me what to do, I will be your follower.
You're
But
making it sound like I'm starting a cult of hospitality right now. Not a bad idea.
it is a cult of exceptional hospitality.
It is. I mean, anything that requires you to change yourself, to change your beliefs for the greater belief of a cause, as you would, is
Hmm.
certainly a cult. And to be great at hospitality, you do need to alter yourself. A lot
100%.
a lot of us come into it loving hospitality, wanting to be a part of it.
Hmm.
You learn a lot about yourself throughout it, and you have to make changes to yourself
Hmm.
to be the best that you can
Hmm.
in the industry.
100%. I do remember that I had a lot of experience in the kitchen and in the back of the house areas, and I did before starting at the Bruce, I did the service job back in the States as well, but that was still not as on the front line as being a front desk agent slash concierge was at the Bruce.
Mhm.
And I still remember I was a little shy the first phone calls and the first time training and everything, and then you just like kind of helped me to get out of that cocoon of shyness.
I have some fun tactics to break people out of their shells.
And I do remember, so you used to correct us. I mean, I know the ideology behind it, but then I would love the audience to hear this from you as well. You often corrected us when we used the term customer instead of guest. Could you please share your insight and thought processes behind that distinction? It's an important perspective. I believe our listeners would find it intriguing as well, because we are, after all, in the guest service business and not just the customer service business, is what you used to say.
Yeah. Well, I think truly the explanation is just in the word guest itself. What is a guest? A
Hmm.
guest is someone you invite into your home, someone that you wish to show a genuinely good time to.
Hmm.
No one ever uses the term guest in a negative,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you have unruly guests, sure. Okay, we can flip that around, um, but just the term itself, when you're speaking with regards to people, it just underlines the fact that you're looking to take care of them. These are our
Hmm.
guests, and we want them to enjoy themselves. When
Hmm.
you use the word when you use the word customer, client, it has a very sterile sound to it. uh,
Right.
without using numbers, they sound like a number. uh,
Hmm.
and a part of that is just over time through society, we've just overused those words, so they've kind of just been put into that category now. You said,
Hmm.
customer service. It's a very we're all just so used to that term that it's just
Right.
a very, like I said, sterile term. You don't feel special if
Right.
you're called that. If I was to turn to somebody and say, oh, this customer here has we need to do something for this customer,
Hmm.
it may incline them to be like, hey, I have a name, right? You get that feeling from it. I'm a person.
Right.
Whereas if I were to say, our guest here would need some assistance, it doesn't have that same feel to it. It's
Right.
just it's more inviting. It's has a lot more warmth in it. It's more welcoming to the situation and to anything that you use it for.
Right. Indeed. I 100% agree to that. I think we during the COVID time when we were kind of doing the assignments from home, I think you had assigned us to read the Disney book Be Our Guest, I believe. And I think that was an excellent book to shed some light on this ideology of distinction between the guest and the customer as well.
Mhm.
Perfect. Lastly, Brad, would you give an advice to both young and experienced minds in the hospitality industry, some pearls of wisdom that you have to offer to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Do everything that you can. I think one of the biggest things you see in not just this industry, but almost every industry are
Hmm.
people coming out of university thinking they can be the general manager of anything because that's what they went to school for.
Right.
Um, and yeah, yes, you are going to leave there with some great book knowledge. You're going to leave there with some great ideas and some solid understanding of principles. Um, but you'll never be able to lead a team and understand your operation without actually getting dirty in the different departments.
Right.
Something that actually sticks out of my mind a lot is I read I read Chris Hadfield's biography. He's the Canadian astronaut. I
Hmm.
can't remember the title of it, but within it talks about his journey into becoming an astronaut.
Right.
And he decided at a very young age he was going to be an astronaut. So throughout his life, he did everything he needed to do to
Hmm.
become an astronaut. And if you
Hmm.
look at an astronaut's like the requirements to become one,
Hmm.
it's you need to be an experienced fighter jet pilot in the Air Force.
Wow.
You need top marks in mathematics, science, things like that. There's a wide range of things that you literally
Hmm.
need to focus on and be like, okay, I need to go do this, 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 this. That way, in 20 years, I can be an astronaut.
Hmm.
So, some people have all that by chance. So they go, okay, I'm going to go be an astronaut now. Whereas he was, I'm going to be an astronaut, so I'm going to go do all these things. The
Wow.
same goes for, I would say, any industry, especially hospitality. If you want to just manage restaurants, well,
Hmm.
go get yourself a job in the kitchen. Go wash some dishes.
Right.
Go manage the kitchen. Create some menus.
Hmm.
Go work in the front of house. Bartend, serve. This will take you time to do. This isn't something you're just gonna like get up and do.
Right.
Um, after owning a restaurant myself, I can tell you, if you went into that just with no experience whatsoever, you're
Hmm.
going to be in for a shock. And the same the same goes for hotels. Think
Hmm.
of what a hotel has. It has a restaurant, so go work in restaurants.
Right.
It has a housekeeping department. Go work in housekeeping. Did I work in housekeeping? No, I didn't. I did not. But I spent a lot of time in housekeeping. So when you get into it, and that's the thing, you can get into it without having those experiences, but don't rest on your laurels.
Right.
Get off your chair, leave your office, leave your area, go work in other areas, go see what they're doing and how they're doing it, so that you can better understand what they're going through,
Hmm.
and how to better assist them in their day to day and to get them the tools they need.
100%, 100%. I can definitely agree to that because I have 2 degrees in hospitality, 4 years graduation and 2 years post graduation, and I did learn a lot of technical skills. I will be honest, but the gist of the hospitality I feel is the guest service and the genuine care, and that part, the care part, definitely comes from within, but the guest service aspect, I definitely learned that way more during my time learning with you at the Bruce, more than I could learn anything in the 6 years that I spent studying.
Absolutely, and those technical skills, they come later. I mean, you I hear people, oh, well, I know opera. Great, we don't use opera, right? It's all about just understanding that as you move from place to place, you're going to learn new technical skills.
Yes, that's right.
You will learn accounting and budgeting one way at one place, and you go into another, and you're like, none of this makes sense, so I have to learn a new way of doing accounting and budgeting because they do it completely different. There's fundamentals that are the same, like adding and subtraction and all that sort of stuff, and but every place has their own method of doing things. What doesn't change is hospitality and just being genuine with guests. And what I also want to highlight too is, the way you treat your guests, treat your colleagues.
100%.
Because if if you're constantly putting guests first and you're just throwing your colleagues to the side, well, that's not going to do you or the work environment any good as well.
Right. 100%. I agree with that as well. Um, in fact, I think I did write a little blurb in my book as well. Is one of the things that I follow, that I love treating colleagues the same way. I love planning things for my colleagues as well, the same way that I love doing it for the guests. Because after all, I learned this during my time in the States working for Gaylord Hotel, that if the employees are happy, then the colleagues are happy, then the guests are going to be happy as well.
Yeah. They're basic they're on the same plane. You can't say that guests come first and you can't say that employees come first because they both
Hmm.
come first
Absolutely.
in very different ways, but without one or the other one is not going to, how the other one views you or the establishment is not going to be successful.
100%. 100%. Wonderful. Well, with this, we have come to an end of this enlightening episode with Brad. Thank you, Brad, again for being our first guest and sharing your remarkable insights. Um, I believe this will help a lot of aspiring hospitality professionals and kind of shed some light on the true insights from someone like you.
It was my humble pleasure, Zero, and I'm very honored that you're very dedicated to making me the first guest. Thank you.